Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Caro and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I am planning to make some backgrounds today, backgrounds that I intend to use in card making, like the one that you see on this card here. It was created with an embossing folder. It's a folder from Altenew. It's called Garden Harmony. It's one of my all-time favorites, or I use it quite frequently. In order to achieve what you see on this card, I am using a gel plate, and I know that lots of you do have gel plates and it might be sitting in a cupboard somewhere collecting dust, right? So it's time to break it out and to do something with your embossing folders that you might never have done before. At least I have never seen anyone use embossing folders this way. But I need to be a little bit more accurate. It's not really the embossing folder itself that we use on the gel plate, although you could do that, but I will be using an embossed piece of cardstock. And you will see that you can use such an embossed piece of cardstock on the debossed side as well as on the embossed side, and you will get a beautiful result. Before we get started, I wanted to show you another background that I created simply as an example that you can use virtually any embossing folder to do this. This one here is a beautiful floral. It is also from an embossing folder from Altenew, and you can see both the piece of cardstock that I've used on the gel plate as well as the print that resulted from it. Now I'm going to show you the embossed cards that I will be using on the gel plate today. Here is one from Spellbinders, a beautiful floral. Then I have this one, it's from Simon Says Stamp, with the beautiful birds. I'm very curious to see how they will turn out. The third one is a geometric pattern. It's also from Spellbinders. And then finally, I do have two embossed brick walls. They're both from Tim Holtz, so from Sizzix. One is a 2D one and one is a 3D one. And now it's time to use the gel plate. I'm working with fairly thin 30-pound Hammermill color copy paper, very smooth paper. However, you can use virtually any paper that isn't brittle. To take prints of embossed paper, I like to use metallic paint. I find the results look really great. And the secret is to roll out the paint very thinly. And also, don't push your brayer. Let the brayer do the work for you. Just let it glide, guided over your gel plate. Take your time because paint doesn't dry quickly. And neither does ink if you're using ink. In fact, on the gel plate, dye ink takes even longer to dry than acrylic paint. So now I take a piece of embossed cardstock and put it on my gel plate, right into the paint that we rolled out. I make sure that it makes good contact with the gel plate, and to ensure that, I use a brayer without paint and roll over it before I lift the cardstock off of the gel plate to reveal, well, first of all, the color, the paint that has been left on my embossed cardstock, the back of it on the debossed side, and then what is left on the gel plate. Namely, in this case, a picture of those birds that are depicted on my embossed cardstock. Then I take a piece of my Hammermill 30-pound paper, smooth side down onto the gel plate, and again I make sure that the paper makes good contact with the paint on the gel plate, so good contact with the gel plate. I rub over this piece of paper a few times with my hands. Again, that is to ensure good contact, and also it encourages the bonding of the paint with the paper. And here you see the result of that work or play. And you can see the picture of the birds is somewhat light, but very visible. I'm pretty happy with this print. So let's do this again. Now I'm working with the brick walls. And again, I'm rolling out my paint very thinly. I'm guiding the brayer gently over the gel plate. And then I take both my 2D and my 3D embossed cardstock here and put them side by side onto the gel plate into the rolled out paint. To ensure good contact with the paint, I roll over the embossed cardstock with a brayer. For the one on the right side, I use a clean brayer. And for the 2D one on the left side, I use the brayer that has leftover paint on it to actually paint this embossed cardstock even further. And I have to say, I actually like what this looks like. So for a card, I will actually use the embossed side for this cardstock. So now I can pull off the cardstock of the plate, and we can again see that a pattern has been left. And then I take my 30-pound hammermill cardstock, or paper rather, and put it smooth sides down onto the gel plate. And again, I make sure that the paper makes good contact with the gel plate so that it can bond with the paint that has been left behind. And I rub over it a few times, and then I can pull the print. And here it is. I think it looks pretty good. And so I want to continue playing, and let's take another print and show you an additional example here. This time I will use two different colors of metallic paint, blue and a violet color, or blue and a purple. And I'm not trying to really blend them, but I want them to be a bit patchy so that you can see blue and purple. This is already a thin layer. Again, the secret is in the wrist. Don't push, but let the brayer do its work. So here I will actually use the brayer to go over the folder, which sometimes can look really pretty, but not always. I think this looks fairly decent, especially if I use another color medium to color the parts that we at this point cannot see. So let's take this off. This is what the back side looks like. Oh, I like this a lot, I have to say. Like the fact that we have some blue here and some purple there. Put that aside. Have a look at this one here. Oh, wow. Wow, I've never seen this folder this beautiful. I have to say, I really love that. Right, can you see? So pretty. And then let's see what the print will look like. And here it is. It looks pretty good, don't you think? And then I kept on playing and playing, and I didn't notice that my camera stopped recording, so I apologized for losing some footage. However, at some point I did notice, and then I hit record again, and so I want to show you a little bit of the remaining footage. So keep in mind that in the middle there is something missing. My reason for sharing this last one with you is I ran into a bit of trouble, and I want to show you how you can recover from this kind of trouble. Namely, the paint was too dry to actually put a print properly. So keep an eye out for that. So here we go. This time I put two colors on the gel plate, a purple and a tiny bit of pink. I intend to mix them on the plate, but not too much. I want there to be patches of pink in the purple color. And then I put that embossed card onto the plate and roll over it with my brayer, the one that still has leftover paint on it. And I like what that looks like. And then here you can see the back of the card, and that one looks good too. And then we can go and pull the print. I do what I always do. I put the paper over the gel plate, rub over it with my hands a few times, and then when I pull back the paper, what I notice is that there is no image on my paper, or just a few specks of color here and there. Therefore, I do not pull back the paper completely, but leave a little bit of the left-hand side attached to the plate. So the paint was actually too dry. I had taken too much time in all those in-between steps, and now it could not be pulled from the plate. So what do you do in this case? Well, it's fairly easy. You put more paint on the plate. So I cover the dry paint with moist paint. I chose a metallic blue, roll it out, put the paper back on, and then I actually take a lot of time to go over the paper. I need to have really good contact here. I actually use the brayer to do that. The reason why you take your time here is because the fresh paint has to moisten the dry paint, and so they will bond together and then bond to the paper as well, and that takes a little bit of time. Now with layers this thin, it doesn't take forever. It doesn't take 5 minutes or so, but if you were to roll out your paint less thinly, you would have to wait a few minutes. You can always pull back just a little bit of the paper and check whether or not your paint has bonded to the paper. So, and in this case here, you see I pull back the paper, and now we actually do have a nice print. And I have to say that I actually like this one a lot, in part because of the many colors. I like that we have purple and a little bit of pink, especially on that one flower here. But I also like the blue color in the background that I would not have had if the paint hadn't dried on. So we can put this under a happy accident. So, and that's it for my demonstration today. Next, I will step this up. If you like to know how I do that, how I take this technique further, I hope you will come back. I plan to post the second part to this video, where again I will show you how we can take this technique further. And then I also plan to post a third part to this video where I'll show you what I do with these backgrounds, how the cards come together. So I hope you will take your gel plate out and play a little bit and try this out. Please do let me know how it goes. You can also tag me when you post your results. I would be really happy to see them. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I will do my very best to answer all of them to the best of my ability, and I look forward to interacting with you this way. So thanks again for sharing this time with me, and please do come back for part 2 and part 3. Bye! Happy crafting!